Okay. Let's do this. Oh, the books. I never have the physical books, but I actually have them this time because the library. One. Ow. Everybody calm down. Okay. Hello there, my parasocial pals, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Chloe Payne, and I have no idea what I'm doing. A bird just flew by. Today we are talking about love on the brain and book lovers. This isn't a video I ever anticipated I would make. I recently got top surgery, and in preparation for that, one of the things that I did was going to the library to just try to stock up on a bunch of stuff to read. Things that I don't usually read. And a couple of the books that just so happen to be sitting there on the new arrivals shelf at the library. The most popular books from, what, like a year and a half ago. That's right, I'm young and cool and hip and trendy. I have my finger very much on the pulse of pop culture and what is trending and TikTokery and all that. What's the thing the kids say? Mid. I'm very mid. This video is going to be split up into timestamps so you can skip around however you want as you're looking at the description and whatnot. This version of me sitting in chair wearing tank top and hat are here to provide some context here at the start of the video. We're gonna cut in a moment to past Chloe reading vlog clips, and then this version of me will be back at the end to wrap it all up and do sort of a review moment. This video is gonna be spoiler free up until that very end section where we sort of like recap our reading experience. In the unlikely event that you, like me, still hadn't read these books, you can rest assured that this is going to be mostly spoiler free. And when we get to the point at the video of the end, again, where I'm going to be talking in more detail about the plot points, I will put another great big spoiler warning before we get into that. So if you stick around for just like the reading vlog parts of this, then that's great. If then you need to dip out if you want to avoid spoilers. I'm not going to do a bunch of disclaimers, but I do just want to be transparent that like this may not be the best video for you if book lovers or love on the brain are your like comfort favorite reads. I had overall a fine time reading these books. Overall, the experience was great. I was surprised to find kind of a lot of similarities between both of them, and I was surprised that both of the endings kind of similarly left kind of a bad taste in my mouth. Parts of this are gonna be clips of me reading on the couch while I was recovering from top surgery, so I'm gonna be extra pithy, I'm gonna be tired, I'm gonna be cranky. If it would be unpleasant for you to watch someone have moments of rolling their eyes, have moments of being a little bit over the top, hyperbolic, snarky about these books, and having actual then, towards the end especially, like actual moments of critical, you know, commentary. No hard feelings if this is a video that you want to avoid. I really enjoy watching like reviews and takedowns and criticisms and lighthearted sort of sarcastic responses to my favorite types of books or media or whatever. I like to watch that stuff because like other perspectives are always interesting, A. And B, I tend to have sort of a poking fun mentality about most of the things that I enjoy in terms of books or media and all that. I tend to very much enjoy the fact that there's something mediocre about just about everything. Like there's no piece of art that is beyond reproach. There's no book or movie or show or person or celebrity or whatever that is beyond the ability to just like have some observations about, make a couple jokes about. So I like to watch videos like that, but I totally understand that it might make you cranky, it might hurt your feelings to hear somebody be critical about a piece that is really important to you if you really love these books. So I am gonna get kind of critical about these books in this video, and you've been warned. But yeah, in all seriousness, I am a friend of booktube. I enjoy booktube. I'm not here to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm not here to deliberately, you know, stomp on anybody's faves. If you love these books, I love that for you. I wish I did too, frankly. My brain is probably working a little too hard thinking about a lot of the aspects of these books that didn't sit right with me. Overall, if I only get to thank you for having clicked on the video, but now you decide that you need to dip out before somebody gets, you know, a little eye-rolly about your unproblematic fave, then no hard feelings, and thank you very much for stopping by. And with that, let's cut from present day annoyed because they are hot and sweaty and uncomfortable in that way, Chloe, to past Chloe, who was uncomfortable because they were sore and achy and still very much more in the healing mode than myself. Look how high I can raise my arms now. The Chloe that I'm about to cut to in the clip was only able to raise their arms like this high. And now look how much better we're getting, how much stronger we're getting. I can almost like be up straight again with like my posture kind of better all the time without it hurting. That kind of hurt just now. I'm doing great. Everything is great. Bye, enjoy. See you soon. Hello, welcome back. Today is 6 weeks out from my top surgery. It was 6 weeks ago today. I thought that it would be fun to commemorate that with my first little video moment back, getting back in front of the camera again for just some light activity. I'm getting ready to settle in for book time now that the evening has begun, and I've been mainly just icing and hydrating and watching Grey's Anatomy for most of the day. And now we'll rest our eyes and jump into some book time. And I think we are gonna finish or make another significant dent in Love on the Brain. It's been a good time so far. The main challenge, how do I not be terribly judgmental? I am a recovering person who formerly struggled a lot with the like internalized misogyny of like the I'm not like other girls era. For a long time I really struggled to ever put up with stories that have manic pixie dream girl type characters. Oh, is it a character who dyes their hair all the time as an expression of how very unique and individualistic and not like other girls they are? Wow. Oh, is it a character who is just constantly saying such quippy, unique, eccentric things to charm and inspire and bewilder the characters that they are there to enchant? Wow, that's fascinating. And of course, the biggest feature. Are they clumsy? Oh my gosh, do they always fall down or faint or bump into things? Oh my gosh, that's so relatable and embarrassing. They're so not like other girls. Oh my gosh. Holy moly. And being a smartass, obviously, there's been plenty of good thought and analysis in the last few years especially about like, you know, the way that we limit our expectations when we rely too much on like manic pixie dream girl tropes and descriptions, that maybe we should all have been less mean about like a lot of the characters whose faces I just put on the screen. If you're new to the topic of, you know, dismantling not like other girls and manic pixie dream girl type energy, The Take, they did a video essay about that trope. I'll link down below. Suffice it to say, our main girl, our main manic pixie dream girl, my god, she is so quippy, isn't she? In the first few chapters I was rolling my eyes a fair amount just about what a very unique, quippy, not like other girls type girl our main character is. It's been a week or two since I've actually been reading this. I devoured the first like 200 pages shortly before I started working, and then I started doing my partial shifts back at the day job and was exhausted and haven't done much reading in the last like week and a half since I've been back at work. So I don't quite remember a lot of these people. B, our main girl, B. In the first few chapters, I was struggling a little bit with her hair is purple and she's into science and she just faints and falls down all the time. Wow, what a unique, not like other girls girl. But I did my best to talk to the internalized misogynist in my head and try not to just judge a character and let the charm of the rom-com setting wash over me. Sure enough, as soon as you're, you know, a couple chapters into it especially, like it just reads so enjoyably. I don't want to say easy. It is like an enjoyable, accessible, easy read. I only use those words in the most flattering and complimentary way. It's your warm little cardigan, it's your buttery popcorn. It's so satisfying to just like fly through the chapters. All the supporting characters I'm really invested in as well. I really hope that the two assistants are developing a little lesbian crush on each other. I don't remember their names off the top of my head. Is it Rocio and Casey? The goth girl type assistant who works with B, and the pink legally blonde type assistant who works at the facility. I'm getting the impression that maybe there's a crush developing there, and I really, really hope that that pays off. Good lesson to be unlikely people coming together. I think that the writer did a really believable job so far of just setting up the happenstances of the miscommunications are the misunderstandings. For anyone who has worked, of course, in just like administrative settings, especially with, I can't imagine what it must be like to actually be in a STEM related field, particularly as a non-male person. Just the office politics and miscommunications and memos and policies and appearances and even just a regular administrative setting. It's so easy for things to get misconstrued and misunderstood, so I can't imagine how much that must just be turned up to 11 when you're in a STEM related field or a field that involves like a high amount of like money and funding and grants. The way that the author has set up what the stakes are and what everybody needs from each other and why our main girly is constantly feeling like there's a misunderstanding. It's written well, it's believable, you can kind of see it from her point of view. I think, did I not make this up? It's actually a fact that Love on the Brain is slightly inspired by Allie Hazelwood having written Reylo fanfic. I should be picturing Adam Driver, right? Levi equals Kylo Ren, kind of, right? That's what I'm picturing anyway. I am definitely projecting Adam Driver, Daisy Ridley energy onto my interpretation of these two characters, and it's enjoyable. I'm enjoying it and it's fun. So far, I'm having a good time. When I last was hanging out with our intrepid heroes, I had just finished chapter 14. Very excited because it seems like now the main sort of misunderstanding obstacle that was keeping our heroes apart seems to have been cleared up in the last chapter. So I'm very eager to find out how they will progress in their communication now that we have hopefully removed a roadblock for them. Let's find out. Okay, hi, good morning. It is 2 days later. We're better rested and it's a beautiful rainy day outside. It is about 50 pages till the end. I've dug the way that they've slowly been raising the stakes. You can tell that we're now at the point where a lot of shit is gonna go wrong so that then we can have a happy little conclusion. So the spice has not been too cringy. It's been a good balance of like fun and sexy, but also like not terribly cringy, like actually still like based in the story. I'm sure that the last 50 pages here are going to involve something going wrong with the relationship. It's been going so well up until now, so obviously something has to give and the stakes have to be raised and there has to be a conflict to resolve. Right now, so far as I've read, there's only been like work related, like the B plot related things going wrong, which are infuriating. I know that one of the things that is so unique and so fascinating about this author, she herself has a science background, and for her to be able to combine these two passions, so skilled and passionate about and well informed in, of like being a romance writer and also being someone super familiar with so many science topics that I can't possibly speak to, and specifically the experience of being a woman in STEM, someone who is not a straight cis man in a STEM field. And we're getting to the part now where a lot of the work-related conflict is cranking up to 11, and it's infuriating. So I really dig how the author has been layering those topics in. One of my favorite things about the sort of parallel storylines, I dig the Twitter connection. It seems very apparent to me, I suspect,
that the Twitter personalities, you know, she has her online counterpart, and she's talking throughout the whole book with this other Twitter user who is so great and who she feels like is her only person that she can really connect to. And we, the reader, can keep on seeing these little hints in the thing that the Twitter friend keeps saying that make it seem like, wow, the person who is in that Twitter persona seems to be dealing with things very similar to what Levi is dealing with. I wonder who the Twitter persona could be. It seems very apparent to me that the other person is probably Levi, and we've probably got a little bit like she loves me / you've got mail case of secret identity thing going on, that they have been falling in love with each other for ages through their secret Twitter persona things. I love that kind of plot device. Ooh, I can't remember what the name of it is. Between the Pages? Is it called Between the Pages? Between the Lines? Chloe, put the book cover up on the screen right now. I think it's Rachel Lacey. This book was the first that I read by this author, and I love the plot device and the characters developed in that so much that I am now obsessed with reading everything else by that author. I am a sucker for that kind of trope of, you know, two seemingly very opposite type of people, two very different people develop a connection and a respect and a fondness for each other through, you know, letters or mistaken identity. That's a fun little plot device, and I really like how it's been threaded in here, and I think that we might be getting to the point in the next few pages where my suspicions may or may not be confirmed. The one last thing that I'll say about the spice scenes is just how funny it is when there is that trope of she's so small and he's so big. I mean, I can't say that I don't get it. Like, I guess that there's something to be understood about it, but just it's so funny. Like, it can't just be, oh, it's someone who's a couple inches taller. Oh, it's someone who's like, you know, in a different level of like physical fitness. It has to be extended to every single, he puts his hand on her and his one hand spans her entire rib cage. It has to be, he's easily picking her up all the time.
Oh my gosh, the kitty across the street is sitting in the window watching the rain. Hi, I'm also watching the rain. Hi, how are you?
Okay, anyway, let's see what happens in the last 50 pages. I'm on page 300 exactly, so I wonder. This work-related thing is gonna go badly. It's like the whole work project that they've been building up to this whole book. It's all pinned on this one big presentation. Oh, making me feel anxious. Levi comes in, making a beeline to me. Hey, his eyes are serious. Dark green, beautiful, like the underbrush of a forest. Oh my gosh, they're not like light green, they're not like sparkly green. They're dark with secrets of a shady forest. I like that imagery. Oh shit. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, wait a second. I don't know if I like where this is going. I imagine that our romantic leading man hunk is gonna show up at the last second to save her from danger. This is a left turn. Oh my god. There's literally a line here that sounds like something out of the ending of like a Scooby-Doo mystery, and it all would have worked out too if it weren't for you meddlesome kids. Ugh, this is so unexpected. I don't like it. Ew. Wow. Okay. Last chapter. Let's wrap this up all nice and happy now, I guess. Okay, that was good to finish that book. I'm glad that we did it. The rain has let up for a short period of time, so I think that we can try going outside in the big puffy coat. It's the end, I think, of big puffy coat season, which I personally am sad about, but I'm really trying to, I'm crossing my fingers because I hope this is an aspiration that I have. I'm going to try not to be a bitch about the warmer weather season, about spring and summer. I struggle with being a pale, pasty person who gets sunburned, and with being a person who suffers from seasonal allergies. So the spring and the summer is not my favorite. I also just get like really, really cranky when I'm sweaty and like, overheated. And I prefer wearing big puffy coats and layers and scarves and sweaters as opposed to summer attire. So let's go outside and maybe get rained on again, but probably just enjoy a nice walk through some puddles and enjoy one of the last days of being able to wear the big puffy coat because it's getting warmer. And I'm definitely not irritated by that. If I say it enough, I can believe it. Let's go. What's up, fam? So, thankfully, incredibly grateful for the fact feeling less and less sore every day and like my mobility is increasing. Look at how high I can raise these little zombie arms, these little T-Rex arms. Ooh, zombie arms, T-Rex arms. But I'm also fatigued so easily. The last time that we talked was me saying, it's Monday, and I'm so glad that I did so much today. This is great that I front-loaded my week with all this activity. I slept all week. It is Saturday now. I'm very proud of the fact that I worked really hard all during my work week. I'm even doing some overtime to try and, catch up on bills. I was doing okay at work, but then this whole week has just been that I wake up early to do the overtime and I make it through the workday. And then as soon as the workday is over, I'm like, somebody please put food in my body and let me go to sleep. I've been like unable to keep my eyes open past like 9 p.m. all week. So I have sat down with the book a couple times and just have not been able to keep my eyes open. I do not blame the book. I blame myself. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Today is a cool day because I'm trying to convince myself that it's a cool day. The cool thing about today was two things. One, I went to brunch for the first time in ages, like going and actually having social interaction outside of the house, enjoying a delicious meal, not just being in my home wearing pajamas. What a thrilling time, a delicious meal, delightful company. The other exciting thing of today has been I have an outfit on that I feel really, really cute in park. Here's a screenshot of the Instagram post of me being all sappy about gender euphoria. So 90% of the reason that I jumped on for this quick clip was to be slutty and show off my arms. That's possible. It's a possibility. I'm neither here to confirm nor deny. The other main reason that I am here is to bemoan the fact that today is like the first day of the weather changing. Earlier this week, it was so cold that it was snowing in the middle of the night, that there would be like black ice on the streets in the middle of the night. We had the heater on this morning, and then this morning was the first time that we opened the door. And the way that when I opened that door, the wall of humidity just fucking hit me. It was very unpleasant. I'm really trying not to be a bitch about the spring and the summer this year, but we will see how I do, because right now I feel physically uncomfortable. And one of the other things that I hate so much about this time of year, I get really sensory overload from the brightness. Like, I don't like the sun being so prominent in the sky. I prefer when there is some cloud coverage and, like, you know, it diffuses the light for me a little bit. So I get like really overwhelmed and feel the need to close my eyes because of all the sun. God damn it. The humidity just makes me feel exhausted. So on top of the fact, like, I had a really ambitious plan for all the things I wanted to do today. I wanted to like have my tummy all full of savory crepes and go on a walk or like go do some grocery store shopping or something. And instead I came home from the store and have been like struggling to stay awake. So what I think we're going to do here for the rest of the day is, for the rest of the weekend, let's be generous with our expectation, Chloe. The rest of this weekend plan will be write emo thoughts in our journal about how sad we are that the chilly time of the year is ending and now it is time to bear through another bright, humid, sticky sunburn season. We can do it. Let's just get over it. Let's embrace the fact that there are some good things about it. Some of the good things about it can be the wearing of slutty outfits that make us feel gender euphoria. Woo, that's great. Plans for the rest of the weekend will involve emo journaling. Check. Sitting and enjoying time with our book. Check. Drinking a lot of coffee so that we ideally don't fall asleep while trying to enjoy our book. Check. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. How am I conscious? Why am I awake? What is the passage of time? Man, I'm looking out in my yard and there are so many fucking weeds that just sprung up so quickly. What is springtime that just like makes everything grow so quickly? And all of the things in that yard are things that I'm allergic to. I'm not doing a good job of trying not to be a bitch about this time of year. Okay, let's change out of the sexy clothes before we sweat entirely through them and put on some comfy clothes and move on to everything else that the weekend has to offer us. Okay, this has been an update involving sexy sleeves and mushrooms. What more does one need? Ugh, oh fuck, I reached too far. Ow. Okay, I finally made it through the first chapter. This guy, Charlie, that she just had the initial like lunch meeting with, chapter 1. That's not our guy, is it?
Oh no! Beach, no!
I didn't realize how much these two books kind of have in common. I knew that they were both very popular book talk reads, and I figured that that would have a lot to do with, yeah, some of the like common tropes that romance readers enjoy. But I mean, already just in the first chapter, woman who is very passionate about her career and has disparaging thoughts about her own love life and how her career has been impacted by her love life, or her love life has been impacted by her career, but she's primarily passionate then about the career. The very rom-com Sex and the City Meredith Grey voiceover, the woman speaking about herself in this very sort of derogatory, I'm just so unapproachable and men don't even get me and I could never be loved point of view about oneself. And now that I've finished this first chapter, meeting this Charlie surly person over this lunch for work, and then just something about the way that it ended with them texting each other reminded me very much of the Amalia Baloche You've Got Mail secret identity thing that was going on. The guy that we just met in the lunch about publishing the book, that's not our guy, right?
Why?
Because there was also something so, I'm really trying not to be a bitch, but there was something so kind of heavy-handed about the internal narration that she had during that meeting, where there's a sentence that straight up says, like, I do not like him. This is so funny. Are these two books going to be that similar? Because then that'd be another huge thing that they have in common, is that the couple starts off very adversarial, but surely just due to some misunderstanding, right? What's Charlie's deep, dark history? On the day that they meet, she says something about, like, oh, I've had a bad day, and he says, not worse than mine. What are we going to learn in the future about the bad day that he's had that is going to give her context about, oh, I guess that maybe he wasn't actually such a bad guy after all. Maybe he's actually kind of nice. What's the misunderstanding going to be? Yeah, I just saw something about some part of it that's like her thinking to herself, I do not like him, Sam I am. I do not like him. If I'm the archetypical city person, he is the dour, unappeasable stick in the mud. He's the growly misanthrope, Oscar the Grouch, second act Heathcliff, the worst parts of Mr. Knightley. Which is a shame, because he's also got a reputation for having a magic touch. Almost like, as the book goes on, you're gonna learn more about him. Okay, I'm gonna stop being a bitch. I can tell that I did a favor to myself by just trusting my gut about which of these books to read first, because I was able to enjoy Love on the Brain a lot more, with it being my first dash of heterosexuality. It made it a little easier to put up with some of those tropes, A. And B, I had just binged all the Star Wars movies recently with my brother. So it was very easy to sort of head into it with like, okay, I'm kind of familiar with, you know, fanfic dynamics, not specifically Reylo, but, you know, we've all spent time on Archive of Our Own and we know what some of those tropes are like. So let's just strap in and enjoy some cheesy cheese fest, go along for the ride. It was a lot easier to do that with Love on the Brain. And now that maybe I'm just even a little fatigued also for this being my second in a row. I read queer romance pretty constantly back to back, but these two books back to back it's just a lot of heteronormativity. Okay. I'm putting on my I would like to be a professional booktuber. Please take me seriously. I'm definitely very professional face. Scene. Let's keep reading. Okay, wait, I came up with one more similarity because I just started chapter 2, and it's talking about the sister similarity. I understand, of course, that again, like, common tropes in romance writing, right? Like, we know that there's always got to be some equivalent of the best friend character, the character whose main role in the exposition is just tell our main girl things about herself to explain to the audience. We get that she's just a little narrative device person. But there are plenty of good romance books that don't have it be so clunky. I haven't read much about this sister character yet, but certainly the sister character in Love on the Brain was very much just like only there on the page to tell main character things about herself, in very much the style of the gay best friend in all the 90s rom-coms. Oh my goodness. So yeah, she's got a sister that is, I assume, gonna be our main narrative vehicle throughout this book of just easy exposition and learning more things about our main girl. Cool. All right, anyway, I'm reading. I'm doing it. I'm sorry, I don't like the book so far. Why, hello, funny running into you here. Would you like to sit on the floor with me for a moment? Because it is the coolest place in the house. A couple days have passed. I've been continuing to try to read the book. I'm not enjoying it. It is not pulling me in. It feels flat. It feels like reading a description of a story. It feels like reading a summary of a story, and I don't yet feel actually like engaged by these characters or these scenarios. I'm only a couple more chapters in, so there's like, you know, obviously plenty more opportunity for it to grow on me. I have taken on a couple projects here in my home to try to start to, like, you know, spring cleaning vibes and, like, you know, time to switch out like the room heater, the little heating unit, and instead get ready for like the AC unit and the box fans. Switching out the wardrobe from the put away the sweaters and the jeans and take out the dad shorts and the tank tops. I didn't want to spend money on this, but I am in this deep enough now that I feel fine hawking out like the 10 or 15 bucks or whatever it is to get the audiobook. The performance of the voice actor doing a super engaging job, I think, will help. And also the parts that I have already read, I am now listening to at like 1.5 speed. That is adding some humor to it for me as well. That is pulling me in.
If you like books, or at least if you think that you like books as much as I do, and I'm an ice queen.
Very, very funny. I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm gonna get to a couple of chores. I'm gonna start trying to go through my wardrobe. I might do a little shopping later today. And I'm just gonna start existing with the headphones on and let the audiobook try to pull me in. Let's give it a chance. Fingers crossed. Woo, here we go. Well, hello again.
funny running into you here. How have you been? It's been so long. This is the part of the video. Future editing Chloe, put a big ol' spoiler alert. Spoiler warning. I'm now going to get into the actual talking about, like, you know, some of the plot points and specifically the endings of these books. Overall, I didn't have a terrible time with these books. Perfectly entertaining popcorn, and that's valid. Like, there's a super valid place for that. I feel like it's really easy sometimes for people when they experience things to be kind of dismissive about pop culture like that, whether it be a book or a TV show or a movie or a piece of music. I do not underestimate the importance of fluff, the importance of escapism, the importance of fantasy fulfillment. That shit is necessary for our ability to function with our brains in this world that is falling apart. And I can definitely see that these books might be a very fulfilling version of that for a lot of people. For me, the positive aspects that I got out of these books were that they were full of quips. It was, you know, it kind of took me back to Joss Whedon-esque era, watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer and shit with like my friends in college, Manic Pixie Dream Girl vibe, the main character energy vibe. There's sort of like a nostalgia to feel about that. I'm only recently stumbling into the terms grumpy sunshine. The grumpy sunshine elements of both of these books were kind of fun. Plenty about both of these books that were entertaining and, you know, a page turner. Most of the time I wanted to keep on reading and find out what was going to be happening. My main issue with both of these books was that if the majority of the like first 3/4, like most of the book, ranged from like a middling kind of experience to this is kind of fun and nice and has some merit and I'm kind of enjoying this is entertaining. That was the experience of like 75% of both of these books, and then the endings both really just left a bad taste in my mouth and I thought really dropped the ball. Specifically, what I was bummed about with how each of these handled the endings were the ways in which the like real world elements, the realistic elements, the relatable elements of both of these plots like really screwed the pooch with it at the very last second in both instances. Love on the Brain had such strong themes for the majority of misogyny and sexism in the workplace and what it's like to navigate a career as a non-male, as someone who is not just a straight cis white guy. And then those themes were completely undercut by the last minute reveal of like some Scooby-Doo type villain, some oh my gosh, it was Old Man Jinky at the amusement park and like, that was so out of nowhere. I don't think that there was enough peppering throughout the book of the fact that we apparently were getting set up for like a whodunit reveal. Yeah, sure, there was the slight mystery of like the cat roaming around in the lab. There was the slight mystery of what had gone wrong with the test run of the prototype. Those things were slight, like, oh gosh, curious. I wonder if at some point we'll get more information about that. But it certainly wasn't the framing of like a cozy mystery. It certainly wasn't the framing of red herrings sprinkled throughout the pages. It was the framing of a romantic comedy book. It didn't give you any impression that there were unanswered questions that were going to be solved by the reveal of a mastermind who had been pulling strings behind the scene the whole time. 90% of this book was all about establishing that this protagonist was up against very real, big-scale forces. Patriarchy and sexism in the workplace. Forces that are complicated, not simple. But then, all of a sudden, never mind, it wasn't complex or complicated or subtle at all. There was actually just one person who was doing all of that, who was deleting her emails and who was sabotaging her communication and who pulled the strings on her project to make it look like she was failing. It was just one guy who was doing that. There's not like a bigger institutional, societal problem. It's just one guy. It's just one guy. And that guy had a gun and threatened our protagonist with bodily harm, which, you know, might be upsetting if the large, likely demographic of your readers were women who are used to having to keep their guard up and protect themselves against such threats at all times. It was so... I don't even know how to... Like, patriarchy isn't a boogeyman. Patriarchy isn't that there is someone lurking behind the scenes, pulling the strings and twirling their evil villain mustache the whole time. It's so much more subtle and insidious than that. And 90% of the book was about exploring the very real world ways in which the complicated and pervasive forces of patriarchy and misogyny are woven into social media, into interpersonal interactions, into the power plays that are present in the workplace between like bosses and managers, and how you have to rely on like how much of it is just about networking. And if your one boss doesn't like you, then your whole career could be fucked. And then it felt honestly kind of gaslighty for all of a sudden the antagonist at the end to be just one guy, just one vengeful person who's a maniac and who is now out of the picture anyway. So everything is fixed. It was just such a failed opportunity. I was disappointed because it had potential. And instead they just completely invalidated all of the work that they did in the first 90% of the book. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe like leave me a comment below if you thought that the ending was actually super fun, and you know, a lighthearted break from all of the more realistic topics that they explored in a more genuine way for the majority of the book. It really threw me off. I couldn't get past it. So it just, that left a really bad taste in my mouth about the wrapping up of the experience with that book. And then I ended up taking so many notes about just the boggled mindset that I was in after I finished reading Book Lovers. That was a book that like was so confused about its themes that like I feel like it didn't even have like an ultimate conclusion that it was trying to reach. On the one hand, it was like an attempt at commentary about like the cheesy Harlequin romances that feature like, and I'm trying not to curse so much on the channel or like say things that might get the video flagged, so like unrealistic climaxing, I'll say, you know, and like marathons of climaxing. On the one hand, it's a book that has the characters actually saying dialogue, like criticizing those tropes. But then, on the other hand, when our two main characters do finally get to the point where they are experiencing intimacy, it is exactly the type of interaction that was criticized by the characters just a few chapters ago. I was blown away when I read the author's note, or like whatever the afterword by Emily Henry was. She talked about how what she wanted to do was like humanize the shallow depiction that we always get in movies about the frigid, villainous, workaholic woman, the woman who always gets left behind when the other happy couple ends up together. That's an interesting idea. That's something that I would like to actually see done more successfully. Like that's what Emily Henry supposedly set out to do, is to humanize that type of character. But in the course of this story, what we are shown in terms of the character's humanity is that she is just a traumatized, sad, wounded person, and that she does just like cling to her work as an addiction to help her cope with how sad and traumatized and freaked out she is by the idea of losing her sister, and by the memories that haunt her, and she can't sleep anywhere except in her own bed, like her really clinging to like her life needing to be a certain way, and like the control issues. Like what if the things that that character wanted were just valid and didn't need to be justified, and certainly didn't need to be justified in the form of, well, her mom died. See, that's why she's like that. Her mom died. It's very sad. Just completely contradictory the way that the supposed premise of the whole book is, let's humanize that character who's always so two-dimensional. But then, of course, what does that character end up actually needing by the end of the book is the validation of the cookie-cutter romance. After all, she did just need a man to fix her. She did just need a man to choose her. And separate and apart from like her supposed humanizing or whatever, is like, you know, we're gonna take the character trope and make it not just two-dimensional. I thought that the biggest like contradictory disappointment of how the book resolved, how the resolution went down, was that Charlie was ultimately able to come and join her in New York. I thought that it was really interesting and, you know, a little bit of a pull on the heartstrings that the main conflict of the book was Charlie needs to be in this little town because his family needs him. And I thought that they did a decent job of not just having the parents seem like a burden. Like, you know, we got the few scenes where we met the rest of the family and met the parents, and they weren't monsters, you know, they were good parents. They had always been there for Charlie and supported him, and we didn't just get to write them off as, oh man, if only Charlie weren't beholden to his terrible parents, what a tragedy it is. No, it's that he was doing the right thing for his family to stay there with them and be there with them and help them. And that, I think, is much more true to life for how a lot of these conflicts often go for real people, right? Like sometimes there are two people in a relationship or multiple members of the household, and their family or the you know, personal commitment, the personal obligation that calls them is somewhere far away. And that's something that like people need to deal with in real life. I thought that they were doing a good job laying the groundwork for, it's not gonna be easy, but they're gonna be able to make it work. It's a bummer that he's stuck in the small town, but A, he's doing it for a good reason, and B, the sister moves to the same small town. The unlikely happy ending. The non-cookie cutter happy ending, I thought was gonna be the main character gets to go back to New York and have the job that she's always wanted and have her independence and have her city. And when she goes to the small town frequently to visit her sister who lives there, that she will also get to maintain this connection with this man. I was so surprised by how much time they spent talking about like, man, long distance never works. Oh, long distance always sucks. It's a known fact. No one has ever made long distance work. It's a complete non-starter. And I thought that the epilogue would be like, a year later, our girlie is loving her career and loving her apartment and loving her life. And the main charm that was these two characters falling for each other was that they're both really into writing and reading, and like reading their email exchanges was really fun. I thought that they were laying the groundwork for what an unconventional relationship they could have. I thought that they were going to show us the happy ending done in the surprising, unconventional way that could be the fun example of, you know what, it doesn't have to look the same for everybody, because then Charlie would get to keep fulfilling his familial obligation and get to feel good about that, and she would get to have everything that she deserves to have, because if we're supposedly humanizing our, like, you know, antagonistic villain platinum blonde bitch girl who never gets to be seen as the heroine, I thought that we would actually like validate and lift up and put on a pedestal that like all the things that that character wants are valid. But then no, we don't need it to be unconventional. We don't need it to be original. We don't need it to be surprising. What we need, I think, for this character that was supposedly going to be like a commentary on rom-com characters is for her to get a rom-com ending. We need for her man to show up at the bookstore at the end and sweep her off her feet. Because why is he able to show up and sweep her off her feet? Because somebody else stepped in and took over his obligation. It's not that like the business at the bookstore started booming because of the fundraiser and all of a sudden his dad started really improving and so he felt like he could leave in good faith with no guilt. It's that there is still guilt. The bookstore does still need help and his parents do still need help around the house, but Libby is here to just take over your place as the child. Oh my god, they did just like trade places because Libby used to live in New York. They just totally swapped. What the? I'm sure that something that is appreciated by people who like this book, I'm sure that something that is seen as a feature, not a bug, is the fact that in real life, someone doesn't swoop in to solve your problems for you. That's probably a desirable part of the escapism in this book for some people. And I totally applaud that if it works for a different reader. For me, it really took me out of it. Especially because, again, just like, I can't overstate how much these books blew my mind for ending up being so similar for me. I felt like so many of the plot points and so many of the character traits and so many of the aspects of the setup versus the resolution, just like strikingly similar in my opinion. And I was so surprised. I really didn't come into this video trying to like dunk on straight books. I really didn't. I know that I kind of catfished with the hyperbolic title and thumbnail. Oh my gosh, gay person reads straight books. What's gonna happen? But it was alarming to me how similar these two books were and how one of the things that they really had in common that let me down so much was, are these authors just not interested in like a happy ending for these two women that could still involve the parameters of the life that they've been living? If you don't want to actually include some sort of cathartic resolution for the real world issues, that may not mean solving the issues, but can still mean existing in a world where the issues are. If you're not interested in doing that, then like, why lay that groundwork? Why include those elements at all? Why not just write fluff? I don't understand. It's confusing. My brain hurts. Let's stop talking about it. Leave me some comments below. Help me with my brain. Tell me all the ways in which I'm wrong. Tell me if you read these books and enjoyed these endings more. Tell me the ways in which I'm wrong. Point out to me the points of view that I don't see. If you haven't read these books, do you think you might be interested? I recommend it. Like, I am glad that I read these books, not only because it's nice to be like plugged into the, you know, broader conversation and like have the context now for what people have been talking about for like a year plus, but also because like they were entertaining. I am the type of person who will like, you know, sit and analyze to death, you know, an episode of Grey's Anatomy or like, you know, a Marvel movie. Like I am just the person who gets their brain ruminating on something and like, you know, talks it to death. But that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. If you are interested in knowing what I'm talking about and you haven't read these books yet and you wanna, you know, do a good old fashioned, I don't know if their review is really worth trusting, then I think that you'll have fun reading these books. So like give them a try if you haven't already. Leave me a comment below if you think that you're gonna check them out if you haven't yet. If you love these books, I love that for you. And I cannot wait to celebrate your love of these books in the comments. Check out my description box for some details about a community organizing moment that I discussed in more detail in last week's video. Basically, the workers at Powell's Books in Portland are trying to negotiate for a better contract right now, and they could really, really use your support, so you can check out some information about that below. The most exciting thing is that you can use the partner link that was set up by the union to buy books online from Powell's, but then a cut of the profits from your purchase will go towards the strike fund for the union. So that's a very, very exciting thing. You can check it out. If you enjoy mediocre pictures on Instagram or the misadventures of a cool 37-year-old cool kid on TikTok or gay memes and rambles on Tumblr, then I hope that you'll come hang out with me on your social media location of choice. I am at ChloeThePayne on all the things. Shout out to my patrons, Hiker Steve and Cherry That Tomato. And of course that will be linked down below, as well as information about my website or my commission songwriting services. All that stuff you can check out the description box. I hope you'll consider liking this video if you liked it and subscribing if you would like to stick around. I upload new videos on this channel every Wednesday/Thursday. I think that's it. I think we did it. I think we read a couple books and lived to tell the tale. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next time. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And now it's time for an end card. Look at all the links you can click on. Chloe, take an obnoxious thumbnail before you forget. You gotta make sounds while you pose for a picture. It makes you more expressive. I went to theater school. Ooh, and I'm kind of showing off my guns. Ooh, the vanity is hard at work. It may be summer, it may be tank top season, but at least we can have some suns out, guns out. Am I right?